हेलो दोस्तों, स्वागत है आप सभी का हमारे चैनल इग्नो सेंटर पर। तो दोस्तों, आप सभी को मालूम होगा कि हम जो है वो इग्नो सॉल्व असाइनमेंट टॉपिक पर डील कर रहे हैं। और हमने आपको प्रीवियस वीडियो पर MEG 02, 03 और 04 की जो सॉल्व असाइनमेंट है वो प्रोवाइड किया है। अगर आपने अभी तक नहीं देखा है तो वो ज़रूर देख लीजिएगा। और इस वीडियो पर हम आपको MEG 01 यानी ब्रिटिश पोइट्री का सॉल्व असाइनमेंट प्रोवाइड कराने जा रहे हैं। तो दोस्तों, आपको फर्स्ट क्वेश्चन कहाँ से प्राप्त होगा वो हम बता दें। आपको जाकर गूगल पर इग्नो असाइनमेंट क्वेश्चन पेपर 2020 to 21 लिख देना है। जैसे ही आप लिखकर सर्च करेंगे वैसे ही आपको फर्स्ट टॉपिक में असाइनमेंट का दिखने को मिल जाएगा। और वहाँ पर आपको जैसे ही नीचे स्क्रॉल करेंगे आपको इसका नीचे जो फोर्थ ब्रैकेट है MEG वो देखने को मिल जाएगा। और वहाँ पर आप जैसे ही क्लिक करेंगे वहाँ से आप अपनी MEG का क्वेश्चंस डाउनलोड कर सकते हैं। तो दोस्तों, आपका ये जो है MEG जनवरी 2022 टू 23 सेशन का है। और हम आपकी MEG जुलाई 2021 टू जनवरी 22 की क्वेश्चंस डील कर रहे हैं। तो दोस्तों, आज हम MEG 01 की क्वेश्चंस जो है वो डील करेंगे। तो दोस्तों, हम ये जो है आगे से ही डाउनलोड करके रखे हैं क्वेश्चंस, आप डाउनलोड करके देख लीजिएगा। MEG 01 का ये क्वेश्चन है जो हम डाउनलोड कर चुके हैं। और जो क्वेश्चंस हैं वो आपको हम इस बार पढ़ के सुनाएंगे। और इसी वीडियो पर जितना हम क्वेश्चंस कर सकते हैं वो हम आपको कर प्रोवाइड कराएंगे। तो दोस्तों, आपको जो मेन पॉइंट है वो पढ़ लेना है, ये सब इंस्ट्रक्शन पढ़ लेना है। हम आपको मेन पॉइंट बस बता दे रहे हैं। आपको यूज़ ओनली फुल स्केप साइज पेपर फॉर योर रेस्पॉन्स एंड टैग ऑल द पेज केयरफुली। तो आपको फुल स्केप पेपर यूज़ करना है और आप इस पर बोथ साइड रूल पेपर भी यूज़ कर सकते हैं। नंबर 5 पॉइंट पर जो लिखा है वो हम पढ़ के सुनाते हैं। राइट द रिलेवेंट क्वेश्चंस नंबर विच इच आंसर। आपको जो क्वेश्चंस दिया गया है, यानी आप अगर क्वेश्चन नंबर ए कर रहे हैं तो आपको ए लिखकर उसका आंसर लिखना है, कोई गलत नंबर नहीं लगाना है। उसके बाद में दोस्तों, नंबर 6 पर जो दिया गया है, यू शुड राइट इन ए ओन हैंड राइटिंग। आपको अपनी ओन राइटिंग पर लिखना है। और जो नंबर 7 पर आपकी सबमिशन के बारे में दिया गया है वो इम्पोर्टेंट नोट कर लीजिएगा। तो दोस्तों, आपकी जो लास्ट डेट रहेगी 31 मार्च 2022 रहेगा जुलाई सेशन में जिन्होंने 2021 में अप्लाई किया था। और 30 सितंबर 2022 रहेगा जिन्होंने जनवरी 2022 सेशन में अप्लाई किया है। तो दोस्तों, प्लीज़ ये आप जो गाइडलाइंस है वो खुद पढ़ लीजिएगा ताकि आपको किस प्रकार से अपनी असाइनमेंट करना है वो पता चल जाए। तो दोस्तों, ये जो है क्वेश्चन है MEG 01 ब्रिटिश पोइट्री असाइनमेंट 2020 to 21 का। तो दोस्तों, इस पर जो आप क्वेश्चंस करना है वो आपको मार्क्स दिलाएगा 100 मार्क्स। और जो क्वेश्चन है वो हम अब पढ़ के आपको सुनाएंगे। तो दोस्तों, आंसर ऑल क्वेश्चन, आपको ऑल क्वेश्चंस आंसर करना है। और जो नंबर 1 क्वेश्चन है उस पर एक्सप्लेन विथ क्रिटिकल कमेंट एनी टू ऑफ द फॉलोइंग पैसेज विथ रेफरेंस टू देयर कॉन्टेक्स्ट 10+10, यानी आपको इस पर 20 मार्क्स मिलेगा। बस आपको 2 क्वेश्चंस करना है ABCD में से। तो दोस्तों, हम आपको ABCD होल जो है वो सॉल्व प्रोवाइड कराएंगे ये वीडियो पर। आपको जो मर्जी वो आप कर लीजिएगा। तो दोस्तों, नंबर 1 क्वेश्चंस पढ़ते हैं। Where was here the mingled measure from the fountain and the cave? It was a miracle of rare device, a sunny pleasure dome with cape of ice. Number B. We sat grown quiet at the name of love. We saw the last embers of daylight die, and in the trembling blue-green of the sky, a moon worn as if it has been a cell washed by time waters as they rose and fell above the star and broken in days and in years. Number C. Weep no more, woful shepherd, weep no more, for Lycidas, your sorrow is not dead. Scun through he be beneath the watery floor, so sink the day star in the ocean bed, and yet anon repairs his groping head, and tricks his beams, and with new sprangle o'er flame in the forehead of the morning sky, so Lycidas sunk low but mount high, though the dear might of him that walks the waves. And number three questions is, when the stars threw down their spears and watered heaven with their tears, did he smile his walk to see? Did he who made the lamp make thee? And a number second question is, write a critical note on Chaucer art of portraiture in the general blog. Number three, consider Herbert as a religious poet. Number four, comment on the opposition of art and life and youth and old age in sailing to Byzantium. And number five, comment on the theme of death and suicide in the poetry of Salabia Path. So, friends, first we deal with your first question, which was ABCD solve paper. So, let's continue to get the solve assignment. तो दोस्तों, आपका जो आंसर पीडीएफ है वो खुलकर रेडी हो चुका है। तो दोस्तों, ये जो क्वेश्चन से हमने आपको आगे ही जो क्वेश्चंस पेपर पर बताया था वही क्वेश्चंस हैं, आप देख सकते हैं। और इसका हम जो आपको सॉल्व असाइनमेंट प्रोवाइड कराने जा रहे हैं उसका सॉल्व असाइनमेंट का आंसर हम स्टार्ट करते हैं। तो दोस्तों, हमने आपको बताया था कि हम आपको ABCD जो आपकी एक्सप्लेन विथ क्रिटिकल कमेंट एनी टू ऑफ द फॉलोइंग पैसेज विच रेफरेंस टू द टेक्स्ट है उसका सॉल्व करके बताएंगे इस वीडियो पर। तो दोस्तों, बने रहें हमारे वीडियो के साथ। तो दोस्तों, आपका जो फर्स्ट क्वेश्चन है वो है नंबर ए, वेयर वॉज हेयर द मिंगल मेजर फ्रॉम द फाउंटेन एंड द केव, इट वॉज अ मिरेकल ऑफ rare device, a sunny pleasure done with cave of ice. And the answer was Coleridge wrote variety of the foremost luminous poem within English, but Cuba Khan is distinguished not just by its words, it's surrounded by its own mythology, raising far-reaching questions not only about the way poetry is conceived and written, but also the way it's read and understood. Composed sometimes between October 1797 and Will 1799, when Coleridge was in his mid-twenties, the poem wasn't published until 25th May 1816, when it appeared alongside Christianable and the Pens of Sleep. When he published the poem, Coleridge wrote a accompanying preface, during which he somewhat modestly presented the poem rather as a psychological curiosity than on rock bottom of any supposed poetic merits. He went on to supply one of the foremost famous accounts of poetic creation ever to appear, withdrawing to a lonely farmhouse between Parlock and Linton. In 1797, he took an anodyne opium for a slight indisposition and fell asleep while reading Samuel Purchas' Pilgrimage of 1614. Over the passage where Purchas described the great places of Kublai Khan, Coleridge continued for about 3 hours. He writes in a profound sleep, a minimum of the external sense, during which a poem between 2 and 300 lines were composed, if that indeed are often called composition, during which all the photographs rose up before him as things with a parallel production of correspondent expression with non-sensation or consciousness of efforts. Where was here the mingle measure from the fountain and therefore the crepes? It was a miracle of rare device, a sunny pleasure dome with cave of eyes. Now we rise up and zoom out, looking across the dome of pleasure and thus the shadow it's casting on the ocean. Colorize is starting to celebrate here, checking all the weather he hasn't introduced so far and scrambling them together. In just 4 lines, we get the wave, the cave, the fountain, the drum, everything is involved, including the varied sound of the river which make a mingle measure. All of this mingling shows up within the rhyme and thus the meter of the poem too. These lines make an honest example. Now they doing have an honest rhyme scheme. Just inspect the last words in its line. Pleasure, wave, measure, cave, AB, AB. But this is often different from most of the rest of the poem, which uses all kind of other rhymes scheme. Plus, these 4 lines have a varying number of syllables. There really could also be a quiet music during this poem, but it's strange and irregular, basically a mingle measure. So friends, still here, your number A answer was and now we begin with the next questions which was number B. And the question was, we sat grown quite at the name of love. We saw the last ember of daylight die, and in the trembling blue green of the sky, a moon run as if it had been a cell worsened by time, water as they rose and fell about the star and broke in days and years. And the answer was, this lines has been taken from William Butler Yeats' poem Adam's Curse. William Butler Yeats was an Irish artist with a genuine instance of shock. He consumed quite a bit of his time on earth attempting to court one lady, Maud, who didn't restore his affection. Truth be told, around the same time Adam Cross was distributed, she dismissed his proposition and wedded another man. A large number of his relics based on affection and its failure. Adam Cross, one of his previous sonnets goes with the same pattern. Be that as it may, isn't only an adoration blurred. Adam Cross loves the measure of work that antiquate love requires, which is like the diligent work that writer must do so as to create their line. The sonnet that outcome from this kind of work aren't as helpful as state a house made by manufacturers. So Yeast imagines that artists are neglected by the vast majority of the world. As an artist that truly bums yet is out, evidently not that majority of our gratefulness for verse is dead. However, in light of the fact that Yeats proceeded to turn out to be pretty darn popular for his composition, he viewed as one of the most significant writers of the 20th century and was granted Nobel Prize in 1923. Also, Adam Cross is one of his best work distributed in 1903. In his gathering in the Seven Words, the sonnet has proceeded to be broadly adulterated and anthologized. In this way, there's some uplifting news for you, Mr. Yates. In spite of what the Speaker of the Blades accept, a few people do in any case care about verses. The notice of affection appear to have quieted them down. We wonder why. Maybe every one of them has their own grief to consider. As they sit and think, the sun at long last goes down. Yet utilize a likeness here to construct the dust with the last coal of fame wearing out. Notice the adjustment in tone. Now Yeats uses words like last, incredible, divert the lyric from its milder, serene tone to one that gets somewhat more genuine, somewhat heavier. So friend, till here your question number B was also finished, and now we begin with our next question, which is question number C. And the question was, weep no more, woful shepherd, weep no more, for Lycidas, your sorrow is not dead, sunk though he be beneath the watery flow. So sink the day star in the ocean bed, and yet anon repair his drooping head, and tricks his beams, and with new sprangled ore flame in the forehead of the morning sky. So Lycidas sunk low but mounted high, though the deaf might of him that worked the waves. So friend, and the question's answer was here. Here Milton suggests that although King has persisted, he has not precise for eternity, and those in mourning should now rejoice that he is in heaven. Though professing not to understand why this tragedy has occurred, Milton proclaimed the good news of God and his sovereignty amidst the tragedies of evil. The ode switches from first person narrative to third person narration at line 186 extraordinarily affects the hearers of this pastoral elegy, further cementing that God has given each person a purpose to which they must strive. Evans 50-3. Even when evil is incomprehensible, we must carry on to fresh woods and pleasure anew. Lycidas 194, remaining faithful and committed to the divine plan of God. So friend, till here your number C question was also ended, and our last question, which was question number D, is, when the star threw down there and watered heaven with their tears, did he smile his walk to see? Did he who made the lamb make thee? So friend, the answer for this question is, this lines has been taken from William Blake poem The Tiger. The first two lines of the fifth stanza is a direct reference to Milton Paradise Lost, describing the scenes where the defending angels, after the battle had been won in heaven, threw down their spears and wept for their angel brethren who had been cast out. This reference to a sense from Milton Paradise Lost, while still an interesting addition to the poem, serves its greater purpose as setting the scene from Blakey to reveal his overall theme of the tiger and essentially twist the direction of the momentum that he has been building up to this point. These lines, did he smile his walk to see, did he who made the lamb make thee, are perhaps the most important lines of Blake's The Tiger. Blake here completely redirects the focus of the poem. The creator of the tiger until this point was considered the devil, whereas the creator in fact is God. In Milton Paradise Lost, God laughed at the fallen angel and mocks their disloyalty against their omnipotent patriarchs, laughing at creatures that he himself had created and now punishing them after they exercised the free will he had given them. God exiled them to the prison hell, where he would also send more of his creation, mortal man, after they too sin against him. This dichotomy of God's love and punishment, a duality between the image of a loving father figure and malicious patriarch tyrant is the theme of the above stanza. So friend, till here your question number D was also finished, and in our part 2 we deal with our question number 2, which was write a critical note on Chaucer art of portrait in the general blog. So friend, this was our part 1, and we create every video till part 3, and just wait for part 2. Please start your writing and make your project well. And if you are new to our channel, please make a subscribe, like and share to our channel. And if you have any queries regarding Ignou, comment down on the below comment box. Thank you.